Good morning, students. Welcome to online class. Hope you are keeping well by the grace of God. So, students, today I am going to teach you social science history segment, chapter number 9, and the heading is colonialism and urban change. Students, you know very well that before British, there were Mughals in our country, and the last Mughal emperor, he was Bahadur Shah Zafar, and during his reign, East India Company entered here as the traders or merchants, and later on they became the rulers of our country, and our country, that means India, became the English colony. So during Mughal period, the art, architecture, the economy, the social practice, trade, commerce, everything was quite different from the modern period. And people, they were quite accustomed to the contemporary time, accustomed to the contemporary economy, contemporary society, customs, festivals. But when the British came, they wanted to set up India according to their own style, and they wanted to set up all Indian towns and cities or significant places according to their convenience. So the heading here, de-urbanization. So guys, simultaneously you open your notebook and you write down, what do you understand by de-urbanization? What do you understand by de-urbanization? Only this question you note down. You need not to write the answer right now. I am just reading before you. When I will tell, then you will write. England during the late 18th and 19th century witnessed the Industrial Revolution. With industrialization, many industrial cities developed. However, there was large-scale de-urbanization in India during the same period. Towns that were flourishing earlier lost their importance. The following reasons were responsible for it. Because Mughals, they were ruling India since centuries. So the entire people of India, they were so much accustomed to the Mughal lifestyle, the economy, trade and commerce and society. But the British, when they came, they found the system that was not suitable for them. And during that time, with the passage of time, that in 19th centuries, late 18th century, during late 18th century and beginning of 19th century, Industrial Revolution took place. Industrial Revolution took place in 1750 all over the world. And guys, earlier also I taught you and discussed about the Industrial Revolution, that with this revolution, people of the European countries, they started migrating towards another land, even to America, in search of resource and for the trade and commerce. So that was a time, that was the phase, Industrial Revolution. Since 1750, all over the world, people started migrating from their own place to another or distant land to extract the natural resource, to utilize the natural resource, and to extract the natural resource, human resource, that was also mandatory. So supplying of slaves, supplying of laborers, especially from the African countries. So those were the common factors during that time. And simultaneously, at the same time, the same scenario, it was visible in our country also, that when British, they entered, they also started supplying the raw materials to the European countries, especially to England and to other European countries also. So here the British turned India into a colony. Then India became a British colony, and Britain, it was an imperial state. India was made to export raw materials. They used to send first raw materials. After that, when through those raw materials, all the product things, that means already produced, all the products, they used to send from European countries by ship on voyage, and they started selling in the Indian market. So people bought these goods in large numbers as they were much cheaper. Raw materials first, those were sent to the European countries, and when it was manufactured, that manufactured items, those were sold in very cheaper rate. Then the Indian manufacturers or the Indian businessmen, the artisans, small scale businessmen, they had to face an intense economic problem because market was filled with cheap products. Those were not so costly. So people obviously, they will purchase anything in cheap price. So that was one of the reasons. And second reason is the British annexed large parts of India. The native rulers were displaced. As a result, there was a steep fall in demand for the luxury goods. To towns that produce these luxury goods declined in importance. So native rulers, British started one by one, all the territories. Small territories were divided after the downfall of Mughal dynasty. When the East India Company, they entered, then downfall of Mughal, then and there the downfall of Mughal empire, it was quite visible. So with the invasion or with the annexation of British, there was downfall of Mughal empire, because Bahadur Shah Zafar was the last emperor of India, and after that India was ruled, or rule started with East India Company. Initially it was East India Company, and later on British total, from Britain directly. India was ruled by Britain from England. So when Bahadur Shah Zafar, he became weak, day by day. Weak means to rule the country, to rule India. When this realization occurred amongst the kings, other territories or the rulers, they started declaring their territories as free, and they became the kings of small territories. And freely they were ruling their own territories as the kings. But here, with the invasion of British, they displaced those rulers and they captured those territories under the British rule. And now, types of urban centers. There were types of urban centers. Port, all the three major ports, those were the landmarks of the time. Why? All three major ports, those are Calcutta, Bombay and Madras, because coastal areas. So through coast they used to sell the raw materials, and the manufacturing goods also used to reach on the port. So these three ports, those were the landmarks, and those were the business centers of the time, that is Madras, Calcutta and Bombay. During that time it was called Bombay. So these three places were called as port cities. Now let us come to the point, the British quest for cool retreats.